Welcome to the very first episode of Out of the Ordinary, which is a new series brought to you by Rare Cars Only. My name is Anthony Marchese. I am the founder of Rare Cars Only, and Rare Cars Only is a platform that aims to provide our viewers and community with some really unique details about the world's most interesting and rare automobiles. We do this by talking to different individuals around the world in order to obtain information to generate different stories that we tell to our community. It's a really, really rewarding thing all around. Our community gets to talk, sell, advertise, and do so many different sorts of things across all of our social media platforms, which you can now see coming across your screen. We're on Facebook as facebook.com/rarecarsonly, Instagram at instagram.com/rarecarsonly, and we now have this new YouTube series, which our first series we're going to be calling Out of the Ordinary, which is where we'll be talking about some of the world's most out of the ordinary and unique cars. We hope to bring many different unique guests and people on this series in order to talk about these cars with us. And today's episode is actually going to be on a car that we've covered in extreme detail on Rare Cars Only, a car that happens to be one of my favorite cars of all time, and that is the JaguarSport XJR-15. Now, the JaguarSport XJR-15 is a car that not many examples were produced, 52 total to be exact, across 50 production cars and 2 prototypes. For the entire world, that's absolutely nothing in terms of production. 52 cars is just a mere speck in what regular production would be for a normal car out there on the road, which is usually in the hundreds of thousands, sometimes tens of thousands. The XJR-15 is something that we've been lucky enough to see in person just 3 total times. 3 total examples I've actually been able to witness with my own 2 eyes. These examples include Chassis 5, which is a blue car, the first ever XJR-15 I saw in person. This was at the Cultivated Collector, a super special car. I made a video with it on our other page, AM Media NY, which is my media company that works with different dealerships and collectors and other people around the United States in order to create video content and photo shoot content to sell, display, and basically just tell stories about different unique cars. AM Media NY and Rare Cars Only together collaborate on bringing our community information on these cars, and the JaguarSport XJR-15 is a car that we've covered in extreme detail. Now, beyond Chassis 5, we've also been able to see Chassis 19 and Chassis 25 of the JaguarSport XJR-15. And the reason these 2 chassis are extremely special is because today only 3 XJR-15 examples have ever been painted yellow for the entire world, and we've been able to see 2 of them in person. We've been lucky enough to do that. We did so at the New York Auto Show, which we attended as media for the very first time this year in 2022. And at that show was Chassis 025, a yellow example, one of just 3 painted yellow for the world, and we saw Chassis 019 just one whole time at the Cultivated Collector. We were lucky enough to get an opportunity to see that car in person, and specifically that car is extremely special because it carries with it a unique gearbox that is not seen on any other XJR-15. Now, the story of the JaguarSport XJR-15 is truly one of the most unique and interesting stories when it comes to any supercar out there ever produced. Notably, the XJR-15 is the very first car produced entirely out of carbon fiber before the McLaren F1, which many people do not know. The XJR-15 story all starts with a British racing driver from Scotland by the name of Tom Walkinshaw. Now, Tom Walkinshaw developed his relationship with Jaguar in 1982 while he was racing in the European Sports Car Championship behind the wheel of a Jaguar XJS. This is where his reputation started to grow with the Jaguar company, and by the year 1988, his racing team, Tom Walkinshaw Racing, had an XJR-9 win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, this not only impressed Jaguar, but it also created an extreme desire within the automotive community for Jaguar or Tom Walkinshaw Racing to produce a road-going version of the Jaguar XJR-9. Now, due to this increase in interest for this car, Jaguar and Tom Walkinshaw Racing capitalized this by creating a subsidiary company known as JaguarSport. Now, during this time, simultaneously actually, Jaguar's director of engineering at the time, Jim Randall, was creating a car known as the Jaguar XJ220. Now, the Jaguar XJ220 is actually another one of my personal favorite cars alongside the XJR-15. The XJ220 first ever debuted at the 1988 Birmingham Motor Show, and at that show, the car was said to have been equipped with a 12-cylinder engine, scissor doors, and a whole load of different unique features that really made people in the crowd super interested in having this car. So the story goes that they took a number of deposits that day for the car, and by the time that production was ready, the car was nothing as it seemed from the concept that was shown at the motor show. The 12-cylinder engine was lost, and the scissor doors were gone, replaced for traditional doors, and this was a tragic moment in automotive history at the time. However, now, due to this, only around 280 examples or so of the XJ220 were ever produced. So while it might not have been something that people enjoyed then, it definitely worked out because it made the XJ220 an extremely rare car. However, not rarer than the XJR-15, which was designed actually by Peter Stevens, the designer for the McLaren F1. The XJR-15 was designed to become a race car for the road based on the XJR-9 that was winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans. People wanted that car, but they wanted to be able to drive it out in public. Using the Jaguar XJR-9 as a base for their design, the cockpit of the XJR-15 was widened and the roof was heightened in order to make it a more of a comfortable car to drive. And the basis of this car was that the car was designed as a race car. All 50 total cars were designed to race. However, 27 or 28 cars were converted by the factory for road use, and the other cars that weren't converted were actually used to participate in a series called the Jaguar Intercontinental Challenge, which was basically 3 Formula One races in Monaco, Silverstone, and Spa in the year 1991. And a $1 million prize was at stake. And when the car first came out, the JaguarSport XJR-15 was actually at cost for around $1 million total dollars, which was extraordinary in the year 1990. An extremely expensive car and something that you just definitely didn't see for back at that time. Some of the most notable drivers to have raced these cars included Derek Warwick, David Brabham, Juan Manuel Fangio, the second, Tiff Needell, and many, many other car drivers that were in these racing series. We have all of different sorts of information about almost each and every one of these cars, and we're getting to the basis of almost all of them on our registry page, which you can actually follow on Instagram currently right now at JaguarSport XJR-15 registry, where we're going to be talking about all of these cars and trying to track down just about every single one of these examples that were ever produced for the world. A couple of really interesting chassis numbers for the XJR-15 that are definitely worth touching base on are chassis 18, which was actually the Tukai study car. It was a white car at one point, and it was being used in a study at a university. And a man by the name of Jordan Roddy was able to bring that car back to life and create what was its original form. And we've written about that car in extreme detail. And also important to note are other examples such as chassis number 048, which was car number 15, driven by Juan Fangio. It was an extremely important car. It was the winner of one of those race series held in the Jaguar Intercontinental Challenge. And also the JaguarSport XJR-15 LM examples, which were a total of approximately 5 that were produced by the factory, which were highly modified, extremely aerodynamic looking XJR-15s with decals and logos. And it's not exactly clear as to what the current state of these cars is today, but just another extremely interesting detail to note along the history of the XJR-15 model. And the R9R prototypes, both of which are very much different, one of them being orange, the other one being a similar blue as seen on the regular road-going production cars. These cars are also extremely important, and we've covered actually both of them in detail on Rare Cars Only, so you can read articles about those cars on there as well. So with just 52 examples ever made, and maybe some of those examples not even left existing to this day, the XJR-15 is truly an important car, and one that we've gone into many different alleyways of detail and history on Rare Cars Only. We recommend that you check all of that information out on our social media pages, and we hope this video served as a way to learn just a little bit more about the XJR-15, a truly special car, and one that I definitely hope you get to see one day in person, because when you do, you'll be shocked at just how interesting this car truly is. Thanks for tuning in to episode 1 of Out of the Ordinary, where we'll be talking about all different sorts of cars from around the world and the interesting details about each and every one. Today's episode was on the XJR-15. We hope you subscribe and check us out for more details and information coming on these cars in the near future. And we hope that this video served as a way to learn just a little bit more about the XJR-15, about some information that you may or may not have ever heard of ever before.